Germany. Here's a Zionist historian, Noah Lucas. He's a critical Zionist, and it was his book on the modern history of Israel. And he wrote, as the European Holocaust erupted, Ben-Gurion saw it as a decisive opportunity for Zionism. Ben-Gurion, above all, sensed the tremendous possibilities inherent in the dynamic of the chaos and carnage in Europe. In conditions of peace, Zionism could not move the masses of the world Jewry. The forces unleashed by Hitler, in all their horror, must be harnessed to the advantage of Zionism. By the end of 1942, the struggle for a Jewish state became the primary concern of the movement. And that was the position of Ben-Gurion. I recommend the final chapter of his authorized biography by Shabtai Teveth, The Burning Ground. The very final chapter, and it's on the Holocaust. He was quoted as saying, "Disaster is strength if channeled to a productive course. The whole trick of Zionism is it knows how to channel our disaster, not into despondency or degradation, as is in the case of the diaspora, but into a source of creativity and exploitation." And he was quite clear that Jewish agency funds should only be used for rescue by immigration to Palestine. And he said rescue by assisting Jews to survive elsewhere was to be funded solely by private organisations. I think probably the quote which I use, which is most damning, is in respect to the Kindertransport. The Kindertransport was organised in the wake of Kristallnacht, the Nazi pogrom of November 10, 1938. Though the British had been very parsimonious in allowing Jews to come into Britain, they relented and agreed that 10,000 Jewish children from Germany would be allowed, albeit without their parents, who, of course, most of whom would not have lived. And Ben-Gurion was clear in the memorandum to the Zionist executive of 17th of December. He said, "If I knew that it would be possible to save all the children in Germany by bringing them over to England, and only half of them by transporting them to Eretz Yisrael, then I would opt for the second alternative. For we must weigh not only the life of these children, but also the history of the people of Israel." And then just a week later, on the 17th of December, he wrote a memo to the Zionist executive outlining the problems that the Zionists faced. And he said, "If the Jews are faced with a choice between a refugee problem and rescuing Jews from concentration camps on the one hand, and aid for the National Museum in Palestine on the other, the Jewish sense of pity will prevail, and our people's entire strength will be directed at aid for the refugees in the various countries. Zionism will vanish from the agenda, and indeed not only world public opinion in England and America, but also from Jewish public opinion. We are risking Zionism's very existence if we allow the refugee problem to be separated from the Palestine problem." And that was their fear. For the Zionist leadership, their main aim was to build the Jewish state. And you couldn't waste it by throwing all your energies into saving Jews elsewhere. That would be complete madness.